Wetware Media presents The Genius of Being, Contemplating the Profound Intelligence of Existence. Written by Peter Ralston and narrated by Toby Sheets. Copyright 2017 by Peter Ralston. This recording is copyright 2017 by Wetware Media. For more information about Wetware Media and to browse our catalog of audiobook titles, please visit wetwaremedia.com. That's wetwaremedia.com. Introduction. In 2010, when I finished The Book of Not Knowing after nearly a decade of writing and revision, most people assumed I'd amassed the definitive volume on my entire field of consciousness work. Although that book sets the foundation, there is still more to understand. After working with my consciousness apprentices, it became clear that they, and thus likely most other people, urgently needed clarification on the differences between self-transformation and enlightenment. So I set to work. The result, Pursuing Consciousness, has proven to be a useful addition, but there were still profound elements of the consciousness work that had never found their way into any book. Until now. These books have evolved alongside my teaching practice, as each volume is informed by watching students use the last. True consciousness work rarely offers itself up to be immediately understood. Progress is most often made in fits and starts, with comprehension coming and going repeatedly before a communication becomes real and grounded in one's experience. When one element becomes clear, it often sheds new light on another that was previously misunderstood or even inconceivable. The nature of existence cannot be grasped by breaking it down into a set of discrete pieces or mapping it out in a formula. In fact, genuine consciousness regarding this nature eventually becomes far greater than the sum of its parts. And, as they say about a river, you never step into the same water twice. The Genius of Being introduces some of the unseen elements that create your world. If you've been to one of my workshops, you may have heard me go on about subjects that seemed even more incomprehensible than usual. If some time passes and the only feedback I get is a glazed look in your eyes, it's clearly time to shift directions, which I often do with a joke about how unimportant such matters are to your life. These issues actually don't matter except for one significant fact. They're what's true, which is the main impetus behind this whole series of books. I should state that I write from my own conscious experience, which means I know that everything asserted here is graspable. What made the discoveries presented in this audiobook possible for me was, as I so often say, that I had some nothing from which to come. If you've had an enlightenment experience, it's likely that no explanation is needed and you can use such a springboard to investigate these matters. But what about the people who have not? There will be some who listen to this audiobook who haven't yet had their first enlightenment, or haven't read The Book of Not Knowing or Pursuing Consciousness. If that's the case for you, you'll find yourself at sea much of the time, but you should know that this work isn't easy for anyone, even those who've checked all the boxes above. Not to worry. We start by addressing a kind of questioning and listening that will help you access some nothing for yourself. Take these lessons seriously. You won't progress without them. What must be discovered here is not easy to express. The place we're looking into has little to do with what's normal for you. It is instead what creates that normal. In other words, we're talking about elements that are necessary to create yourself, life, reality, all of it. In daily life, such dynamics remain unseen, and even with study they will seem unassailable. But if you've made even a little progress in this work, you know that doesn't mean they are. This is an audiobook of existential contemplations on the origins of the world that you live within. Such investigation may at first seem irrelevant to your life because, given that the subject matter exists prior to everything you experience, it will sound too abstract to be useful. These elements comprise the foundation that allows you to experience all that you experience, but like everyone, you live with a focus on managing life successfully rather than investigating the genesis.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?